Is that the first time it was written down in Abu Bakr's copy.
Yes.
They feared, and this is again in Sahih Hadith, they feared the parts of the Quran could be lost.
Say again?
The parts of the Quran could be lost. Yeah, you're aware of that?
Say again, sorry?
The parts of the Quran could be lost.
At the time of Abu Bakr?
Abu Bakr, yeah.
Yeah, but at the time of Abu Bakr, it wasn't, I mean, they weren't really concerned, they're hyperfixated about the Quran as a physical copy because there were so many hafaz. People have memorized the Quran in droves.
There was a fear that that word you used. Sorry,
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm talking about 634.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So what you're talking about is that when Umar ibn Khattab and Abu Bakr as-Siddiq were having a conversation, and Umar was on the side, Umar the second caliph, Abu Bakr didn't want to do. He didn't want to even have a book. That's what I'm talking about, that's what you're talking about. Yeah. So Umar said no. He made those arguments.
So what I'm saying is that he made it.
But he also made an argument from the Quran. So the Quran calls itself Kitab.
Yeah.
So he says, because what Abu Bakr was afraid of here was less to do with the preservation issue. It was more to do with the fact that he did something, he would do something that the Prophet Muhammad didn't do. So Abu Bakr Siddiq, in order to not do, so Umar al-Khattab had to argue textually through the Quran in order to show that actually, that it was legitimate. So he said that the word kitab is used in reference to the Quran,
right.
And so therefore you can make it into a book. Right.
Okay, but my understanding though is that you're right. He was talking about how. My understanding of that hadith is twofold, but the most important part is that he is saying that the memorizers of the Quran are in fear of dying in battle, and therefore parts of the Quran could be lost. We can go. Do you want to read the hadith?
No. There was that as well. But
so is it not true that there's a part of, I think it might be Surah 9, or it might be some other surah, where there was only one person who remembered it?
No.
I think there's a hadith where it says that we only got that one thing from that one person.
No. There was what you're maybe referring to. I don't know if you're referring to this. You can read out if you have it. But what I'm talking about, basically, at the time of Abu Bakr, when Zayd ibn Harith, Zayd ibn Thabit was commissioned to go and basically be the head of the Quran and stuff. But also he said that for each verse there had to be 2 witnesses to each verse.
Sure.
So for each verse there had to be 2 witnesses.
Sure.
So that's why there was one particular verse, because the Prophet had made a specific supplication where Zayd ibn Harith only took it from one person, but it was understood by everyone else. So basically the Quran as we have it today, you could say that the consensus of the companions on 2 occasions were on it. The first time was at the time of Abu Bakr, and the second time was at the time of Uthman. The reason why it was necessary, the reason why it's important at the time of Uthman, is because Islam had spread to different nations and so.
And they were talking about how those further north, in Sham, and
Azerbaijan and these places.
They were talking about those who had their codices there, their recitations were different from what they knew.
So that they said, bring them all, burn them.
Yeah, you're familiar with
this. Of course.
So my understanding is that because there was a process of taking Quranic materials, compiling them into Uthmanic copy in the Qurayshi dialect, and then burning all other Quranic materials, there is a clear and recorded and quite honest example of where what once was considered Quran is now not longer
where's that?
Quran.
Which one? Which verse are you talking about?
Okay, so Uthman, when he collected, what was he collecting? Was it Quranic materials?
No, he wasn't collecting. At this point, it was not a matter of collecting. Okay, no, that was at the time of Abu Bakr. The time of Abu Bakr,
I'm talking about Uthman now.
Uthman wasn't collecting parchments and papers.
Abu Bakr was, What I'm saying is, Uthman though, at this time when they were differing about it up north, there would have been codices, Ubay ibn Ka'b al-Masud, that differed. He would have taken those, and he would have also taken Zayd bin Thabit, that copy as well.
Are you talking about Uthman?
Uthman.
No, he wasn't doing any of that. All he was doing, he got Zayd ibn Thabit again.
Yeah, he did, and he got others.
No, he got all others, of course. There was a legionnaire. It was called a legionnaire. It was a commission.
Sure. He got all the different Quranic materials. He then
the Quranic materials was
whenever there were differences, he would choose the Qurayshi dialect. Yeah.
Okay, that's another issue. Okay, the Qurayshi dialect, yes.
And then whatever else was left that was not in his copy, he burnt.
Okay, you get. In a way, you're right.
Quranic materials.
That he burnt.
Yeah, that some people
could have been some part of it. But some people.
So that is enough to establish my argument.
You're right. Some people.
The Quran,
but
we understood
Chris,
by Muslims is not perfectly precise.
No, but here's the thing. The Quran says فإن آمنوا بمثل ما آمنتم به فقد اهتدوا وإن تولوا فإنما هم في شقاق. If they believe in what you guys believe in, then they're on the right path. And if they don't, then they're astray. You guys is their companions, because it's a second person, and it's the primary audience. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, عليكم بسنتي وسنة الخلفاء الراشدين المهديين من بعدي عضوا عليه بالنواجذ. That upon you is to follow my sunnah and the sunnah of the rightly guided caliphs after me, bite upon it with your molar teeth. And in another hadith he mentioned, okay, whatever. The point is that there's a difference between the companions, okay, who we believe God has given the stamp of approval to in many verses of the Quran.
But they differ though.
No, I'm not saying that. What my argument is that the variance that existed within the variances within the companion circle,
okay, so there were variances within the companion
yes, of course there were. Yeah, those variances were acceptable to the companions.
Okay.
Yeah, they were acceptable.
But then they argue about it. But I mean, like,
well, after the Prophet's death.
After the Prophet's death, yeah.
Okay, look.
In 652.
So when you say when they argued about it, what do you mean by that? Can you?
What I mean by that is, I can get the hadith.
No. Do you mean when you say argue by it?
Yeah, they say, was it? Oh, save the nation, lest we.
Adrik ummatak. No, that's not the companions. So that's what you're talking here. Is not the companions arguing with themselves. This is Uthman being told that. This is Uthman being told that because Islam has spread. Yeah. These guys who have newly become Muslim, just learned the Arabic language, Persia, this place, that place. They're reading in a certain way. So quickly, before they start reading it wrong and it spreads wrong, bring all of their codices, burn it, and just have one standardized version.
Right. So they were saying things that were substantially different enough to bicker about.
Those people that newly converted to Islam, of course.
Well, we already know that Ubay ibn Ka'b and Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, their
codices we mentioned. Sorry.
They were from
but they were.
I think Ubay ibn Ka'b may have been from Kufa. I think.
No. These guys were all at the time of the Prophet. They were companions.
Yeah, those guys were.
No. But I think we need to kind of get this right?
Okay.
What I'm saying to you is, yes, the companions. One companion sometimes had a word, for example, Malik and Malik, owner and king, whatever, which was different to another companion.
Okay, well that's the Qira'ah. Yeah, that's what
but that's where it comes from.
Well, no, because I'm talking about the Haruf.
No. I'm saying is the Ahruf inform the Qira'at.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But the Ahruf, I think they disagreed about it with.
Say again?
The Ahruf,
that's fine. Yeah.
I think they disagreed with.
What? Who?
Because they had different codices with different surahs in them.
No. The point you're making about different surahs, the numbers of the surahs, the two examples you've given, as I've said, they were reversed. So they're no longer examples.
They changed their mind.
The better example, I'll make your argument for you. The better example is on select words.
Okay.
So for example, I've just given you an example of in Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, Abu Darda, where he recites it differently. I'm saying that he heard it from the Prophet differently to the way someone else heard it, but because that's where the Prophet had it two ways.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with that hadith. I've read that hadith.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that yes, I think that there was 7 Ahruf, but they differed on what that was enough so that Uthman had to come in and standardize the Quran. That's what I'm saying.
The differences on the Ahruf didn't really emerge until after the companions.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what were they arguing about in the time of Uthman?
No, they weren't arguing. The companions were not arguing about this.
They said save us before we become like
No, Adrik ummatak, this hadith. Save your ummah.
Yeah.
Adrik ummatak. Save your ummah before they become like the Jews and the Christians. قبل أن يختلفوا اختلاف اليهود والنصارى.
That was for Uthman to go and collect.
He's talking about the new Muslims that have come into Islam. They've just learned Arabic. They were reciting it wrong.
Wait, but the question is which is correct, and that was what Uthman was trying to establish.
No.
He took all the
I understand him.
And then he was saying, is this correct?
Chris.
Yeah.
Here's the issue.
Okay.
Those new guys that come into Islam, did they meet the Prophet?
I don't think that's necessarily what that's referring to.
No, it definitely was.
I think that's referring to Ubay ibn Ka'b's code.
No way.
Well, it would make sense, wouldn't it?
No, it wouldn't, because definitely not.
But they have different levels of surahs.
No, let me tell you why it's definitely not referring to that. All right.
Despite the fact that we're in that area.
No, أدرك أمتك قبل أن يختلفوا اختلاف اليهود والنصارى. Which is that this is the hadith.
Right.
That save your nation, basically. This is a good translation. Save your nation i.e. the Muslim, the Ummah, before they start differing the difference of the Jews and the Christians. This was at the time where Islam spread to Azerbaijan. Now, it was a new conquest. It was a fresh conquest.
Right, I understand that point of view, but what I'm saying is, though, is the two companions of Muhammad who were considered master reciters
but no, but they were not,
had different codices in that
area.
area.
Are you telling me that Uthman is referring to Ibn Mas'ud?
Well, he would have at least took his codex at that time.
No, because Ibn Mas'ud's in the chain of narration of Uthman's codex. They both they both have the same chain of narration, and they both teach they both teach the same students. For example, Uthman ibn Affan teaches Abu Abdurrahman al-Sulami, and so does Ibn Mas'ud. So that's why you'll find both of those companions, the tabi'i or the student that they have identical Quran.
The Qurans that they had in their codices were different.
No, I'm telling you they're the same.
Collected these along with
I've got reference for this.
Can you show me?
Yeah. So it's I don't have it with my hands. It's not even in English. No, it's not in English. It's not been translated. It's in a book called Tabaqat al-Qurra. It's in a book.
I don't know. Okay.
No, but that's not fair on me, is it?
I know, but you can't use it as evidence.
No, I can use it. No, I can use it.
I don't know.
No, but I'm just telling you. Can. The thing is, Chris, you have to rely on us to translate the Quran anyway.
Yeah.
All right, so why don't you rely on me to translate the source? I don't get it.
But you haven't translated the source. That's the problem.
All right, here's the issue. The book is written.
Any text in Arabic, you don't understand it anyway.
Yeah. So it's not fair. It's going to stunt the conversation. So what I'm saying is, I'll give you the references. A book by Ibn al-Jazari, referred as called Tabaqat al-Qurra, which is the stages of narrators. In it, he mentions that Abu Abdurrahman al-Sulami was taught by Uthman ibn Affan and Ibn Mas'ud. That's why they have the same chain of narration. They have the same chain of narration.
Right. How does that relate to my point?
No, because the point you said was, you said that Uthman ibn Affan, when he was being told, he wasn't saying it, by the way, أدرك أمتك قبل أن يختلفوا اختلاف اليهود والنصارى, that save your nation before they come like the Jews and the Christians, i.e. that their books become unpreserved, like you admitted your Bible's unpreserved. Not perfectly preserved, whatever. You admitted it. So he's saying before that becomes... Yeah, that's fine, yes, it's not all of them. But say for example that he said that, it was said to him, yeah? I'm saying number one, historical context. This hadith was at the time of Uthman al-Affan, which is some 25 years after the Prophet's death. Yeah. Number two, this was when the Azerbaijan was being conquered. Yeah, and that's why new converts were coming into Islam. Number three, it's the chain of narration of Ibn Mas'ud is the same chain of narration of Uthman al-Affan when it comes to the Quran. So they have the same. They don't differ. And the evidence
they have different surahs though.
No, they don't. I'm saying they don't. For example, you know, if I recite now in the Quran, yeah, in the mosque, Hafs and Asim, which is the most, as you know.
Yeah, as a qira'at though. That comes later.
No, I get it. But I'm saying that qira'ah comes from the same chain as Ibn Mas'ud. Ibn Mas'ud is actually the main guy in the chain.
Right, that's fine.
But basically, I'm saying to you is Ibn Mas'ud, if he believed that the Quran's 112 surahs, not 114, then why is it 112 surahs, not 114, not Falaq and Nas, the two? If he believed that, then why is it that the chain of narration goes back to Ibn Mas'ud? He believes in 114.
What I'm saying is, at one point they argued about it. I then believe after that, after Uthman had standardized.
So you agree?
I agree with it.
Yeah, no, but I'm saying that. No, I understand. But what it was is. There was,
even if you admit that they didn't disagree on it, after Muhammad has died,
okay.
there's no authority to be able to
I'm happy to concede the fact that Ibn Mas'ud, Ibn Mas'ud at one point didn't believe that Falaq and Nas.
And Ubay ibn Ka'b as well.
Ubay ibn Ka'b is more controversial, I have to say, because basically his codex had two du'ats after. It doesn't mean anything.
Okay, I know that if you don't consider them a Quran, you consider them du'a. That's fine.
Yeah.
But what I mean is because
I like the way you said du'a there. You said that was good pronunciation.
I do try.
You're good, huh?
What I'm saying is that because they disagree on these things, it makes no sense to say perfect preservation.
But
you don't know what Muhammad himself would have said because Muhammad had died at this point.
So is your qualm only with Falaq and Nas, chapter 12?
My qualm is very specific. Only with the term perfect.
Okay, all right. What I'm saying to you is,
if you say to me, actually, we can infer what was likely meant. We have good reasons for believing that.
All right.
Then I can say, okay.
Let me.
If you tell me that there has been no changes and no variations, then I
no.
I think you've agreed on that.
No. We're saying. Let me be very clear about my position here, and this is the position of the early ones. Yeah. I'm saying is that first of all, when the Quran was being revealed, there were certain ayat that had been revealed in more than one way. It doesn't change the narrative, but at all. Like, yani, all these qira'at don't change the narrative at all. The story doesn't change.
Well,
no, it doesn't change the narrative
how
at
do you
all.
know that?
I know that because I've been through all of them.
Yeah, but we don't know necessarily what all those aruf are, do we? Or do
No,
you
no,
say that we
no,
do know?
no, no. I'm saying that there's only a superficial cesspool of what it can be.
Right.
So what I'm saying is it's not that many things it can be. Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I explained that to you. That's a different conversation. But the point is that the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, in select verses, he said it in one way and another way. Yeah, like Malik, owner, king. It's not a big difference. Yeah.
Well,
For example,
they came later. You're talking about the difference between what the Hafs would have recited.
no,
versus what the Warsh
but
would have
what I'm
recited.
saying is that Hafs and Warsh or Nafa, in fact, or Asim and Nafa, yeah,
Yeah.
because Hafs and Nafa is a teacher,
Yeah.
Hafs is a student,
Yeah.
Warsh is a student, Nafa is a teacher.
Yeah.
Nafa would have taken it from the two available options. This is called ikhtiyar al-qari'. So, for example, yeah, Ibn Mas'ud would have told Hafs, Asim, it's can be recited Malik and Malik. But obviously he can't recite both, so he chooses Malik or Malik. Both of them the Prophet said. So he just chooses one. So there is a choice, but it's a choice with things which both the Prophet said. Do you get it?
I think that you can have a way of knowing what was likely said and what was likely revealed in most cases, but I think there are some cases in which you don't, in which case it makes no sense to say that the Quran has been perfectly preserved.
Your issue
Do you understand with that, though?
I know what you're saying, but what I'm saying to you is that
Let's go back to what you said
Yeah,
earlier,
yeah.
because you talked about the two different ways. And you said there's one way, which is that actually if there's any variance whatsoever, then it cannot be kalam Allah. That's a problem. And then the other way, which is the way that you hold, is the view that actually, as long as there's one qira'at,
what Kalam Allah. Sorry?
word of Allah.
No, what were you saying? What was Kalam Allah?
So you gave two options, yeah?
Yeah.
The first one is there's a school of Islam that says if there's any variations, then that's a problem. Is that fair to summarize?
It's not a school. It's just a.
Okay.
It's,
well, a way of what?
Okay, it's an opinion.
Some scholars
Yeah.
hold that.
Yeah.
Okay, an opinion of scholars. Another one is actually no. We
sorry,
don't hold that.
say the first one again.
So the idea that there cannot be any variations.
No, that's not what they say.
Okay, so what are they
Okay,
saying?
the first group of scholars say,
Yeah.
which is the Qurra and the Mutakallimun,
Okay.
they say that all of the variations must be preserved in order for the Quran to be preserved.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
So if
So-
anything is lost or if anything...
Yes.
Right, okay. That
Yes.
okay. So
The
I think
second
that-
opinion says
Okay.
that only one variation must be kept in order for the Quran to be preserved.
So on the first view, I think that's evidently not perfectly preserved because there are things that I think are or were supposed to be in the Quran that are not in the Quran.
You can make that argument. You can you can't make.
I would be convinced by it.
No. You can make the argument, but that's
Right.
I'm convinced with the second view anyway.
Okay, that's fine. That's
Yeah.
fine. I understand that. But I think it's important for Muslims to know that that first opinion
Yeah.
is wrong.
For example,
I think it's quite
no,
clear.
I mean-
perfect preservation. Perfect.
No, but the thing is, here's my point, Chris. These two people differed on the term perfect or perfection. Because the first group of scholars said, in order for there to be perfect preservation, all the variants must be preserved.
Right.
The second group said, no, only one variant. So for them, perfection was one variant preservation.
Is there an example in the early Ummah, or among the companions,
Yeah.
where they believed that the Quran as they had it had been perfectly preserved?
When you say perfectly, what do you
I
mean?
say- What I mean is that the option one.
What about the Quran
What you
which
just
is
said, option
revealed by
one.
God?
No, that's the point. This is yeah.
That's interesting,
No,
right?
I have
So
not
that
seen
means
it.
that-
I've not come across it.
Okay,
so what I'm saying is,
yeah, but what I mean is that I think there's a problem here in the park.
the early days.
Muslims.
The early days. Sorry,
Yeah.
the early days. Yeah, I'm sorry.
What I'm
Sorry.
saying is
Go on.
is that
Yeah.
Muslims seem to think that the Quran has never been changed.
No,
or
but
any
we're
parts
not
of
saying it has been changed.
I'm saying that there have been parts that have been lost.
No. Okay, that's different. Let me come back. No, hold on. No. Let me tell you.
Okay.
Let me explain it. Change and loss are two different things. The Quran,
Well,
if we say, look,
it is kind of
if we say all the variations, all of the variations of the Quran, like when the Prophet said, "Nuzul al-Quran ala sab'ati ahruf," 7 variations. Is it conceivable on the second view that every single word must be said in more than one way? Some say no, it's not required. So, for example, once again, if I were to say Malik Yawmuddin, owner of the Day of Judgment, that's enough. I don't need to say more for the Quran.
I understand that view.
Yeah.
That's fair.
So if for example, let me give you a hypothetical just to make this clear. If the qira'ah saying Malik Yawmuddin, which is 6 out of 10, by the way, 6 out of 10 qira'ah. If Malik Yawmuddin wasn't there, on the second view, the Quran would still be preserved. On the first view, the Quran would not be preserved. Do you get it?
I agree.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think the problem here then is that there are many Muslims who hold to the first view, not the second. And I just want to make it clear that the first view is wrong.
Okay.
Because you cannot say...
That doesn't have... Even if you go, let's go, no problem.
I think that's it.
Yeah, Chris, no problem.
Cool.
If that's good. Because if you say that the first view, which is that all the variants must be there, blah, 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 and the second view, yeah, which is that only one variant has to be there, what we would say is that in order for something to have creedal disproving implications, religious disproving implications, then the second view would have to be the one that's attacked, not the first. The first view is not sufficient. The first view is just a view of some scholars that came after. The ones who are closer to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, like At-Tabari and Abu Amr al-Dani and others.
Yeah, I agree with that.
They didn't believe that.
I agree. Yeah, it seems to me, from what I've seen from the early Ummah, they didn't have the idea that there was some sort of nothing has been lost whatsoever. Everything is preserved. There's all the different ways that it was recited.
Yes.
I don't find that. I find the second view, which is what you've mentioned.
Yeah. But so that's what we would consider that preservation. Let me tell you why.
Wait, the second version.
Yeah. Let me tell you why. At-Tabari makes this argument, and Abu Amr al-Dani makes the same argument. He says, for example, I'll give you the same example. For example, if I done an oath, if I done an oath in Islam, and I have to recompense that oath. Now, when I have to recompense that oath, I have three options: freeing a slave, number one, or fasting 3 days, or feeding poor people. Now, because God tells us you got three options, 1, 2, or 3, if I do one of those, this is how At-Tabari argues. If you do one of those, have I done what is required of me in a perfect way? Yes, I have. Yeah. I don't need to do all three.
That makes sense, but that's not in the context of...
So At-Tabari is arguing that, this is what I'm saying, he has a different definition of perfection. Okay. He's saying in order for perfect preservation to happen, all you need is just one qira'ah. Okay. All you need is one.
I think we've probably done pretty well here, because I think I managed to get an answer out of you, and I think
this has always been my position.
I just wanted to be more known, basically.
No problem. What I'm saying is it's better for us, because now because the thing is, now that the challenge will be this, right? The challenge on the other side will be to prove that any variation that has happened has not, the source of it ultimately was not the Prophet Muhammad. So for example, Malik versus Malik, owner versus king. How can you prove that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he was reciting Surah Al-Fatiha to the companions, that he didn't recite it at least one time in his life, Malik Yawmuddin, which is owner of the Day of Judgment, another time Malik. We are saying the Prophet in the Hadith, the Hadith says that Unzil Quran ala sabati ahruf. Quran has been revealed on 7 ahruf, or modes, yeah? No problem, yeah? Why? The Prophet said for taysir, to make it easy for the people, like the Shaykh al-Fani and so on. So some words here and there, which the Prophet said two ways, and the Prophet even said that he asked Allah, and Angel Gabriel gave him those. It's called Hadith al-Istizaza, yeah? So what I'm saying is, the challenge will be to you then, since we've finished, you've agreed with me, the challenge is, can you prove that any of the variations in the Qira'at al-Ashar, for example, in the 10 Qira'as, or elsewhere, the source of it was not Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam asking the angel and so on?
I would say that I'm not so interested in the Qira'at, because I think the Qira'at is too late. I want to know about the Haruf.
I'm talking about the variations. I didn't say Qira'at.
Okay.
Any variation word.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. But we have that Qira'at because of Hafs, and we have it from...
No, what I'm saying is, my question to you is, how can you substantiate, can you say that any variation in the Quran that we see through manuscripts, through the hadiths, or through qira'at, or through any other way, any variation historically identifiable, the source of it originally was not Prophet Muhammad based on this hadith?
I think there are other criteria to demonstrate that second option is wrong. So first of all, we know from early traditions, early Sahih...
do you see what I'm saying, yeah?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I think there's other ways of doing it. I agree that would be one way of doing it, but I think there's other ways. So I would say another way is if you can demonstrate that certain parts of what was once Quran have now been lost from the Quran, then that would be another way.
No, but that's what I'm saying is, that's not true. That's only on the first view. No, because that's only the first view.
But you would have to have at least one version of it, though, right?
No.
You're saying as long as you have one Qur'an of it, then it doesn't matter.
That doesn't work. There's two reasons why that doesn't work. Okay. Number one is because, as we said, some variations, yes, those variations were acceptable within the Sahaba and with the sanctioning of the Prophet. Okay. Number two is we believe in abrogation as well. So these two things are, that's why you can't say, well, it's mentioned here in this manuscript, so it's mentioned there in this book, that there's another verse here. Say, okay, I'll bring that other verse and say, that's possibly part of what was originally sent to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Possibly, also possibly not.
Yeah, possibly
So for
not,
example,
yeah.
you know about the verses of stoning and breastfeeding?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so it is considered by some narrations that this should have
Abrogation.
been in the Quran. I know you're ultimately going to say that, but I don't see any reason to believe that.
There's a hadith on the abrogation.
But wasn't there also a hadith where some people said actually this should have been in the Quran? But
No.
no,
That's not what the hadith says.
Okay, what does the hadith
It used to be part of the Quran. The stoning one used to be part of the Quran, and then it was marfu'a
But
hukman.
didn't the hadith say that now he fears that it's been lost?
No, it doesn't say. No, it was It's consensus that it was part of the Quran.
Okay, but it no longer is.
Yeah, that's been abrogated from the Quran.
Okay, so
The stoning, a sheikh or sheikha, farjimu kul wahid minhum al-battata, whatever, that verse has been taken out.
right.